I think I'm gonna be doing this solo, but just for the hell of it, I am going to um, send an invite off to Bobby just in case just in case he's lurking. I mean, he said to send them a link just in case that he's around. All right. If he comes, we'll let him in. If you are around. Okay. We pull chat up here. Okay, for those of you that played the early slate, I hope so you guys played the Washington game. They have like 23 runs between the two of them. Pretty freaking nuts, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through pretty much everything I have in pretty much all the sports. I'm doing everything today. I'm playing. I'm actually in day 2 of the NBA. 2-day slate from yesterday. I have a couple lineups that are okay, and then I have. I'm playing the showdown. I'm playing a little bit of the 2-day as well, and I'm playing the hockey showdown. I'm playing baseball. I'm playing pretty much everything. And yeah, there you go. And I got third in the LOL thing on FanDuel from yesterday. Oh, there he is. Wow. Oh, Bobby is in fact available. Excellent.
I am, and we're going to see how this works. I'm in the park across from the boat
because I can't hear him.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I still can't hear him.
Here, that's weird. I got you perfectly, but
I don't know. I can't hear you. It's possible other people can hear you.
Shoot, guys, let me know if you can hear me out there.
I don't know.
This is a test. This is a test run. If not, I'll let Sheep do the talking, and I'll just sit here.
I just don't know. I can't hear him. I cannot hear you. I hope anybody can hear anybody. How about that? Let's see who's around. Let's see who can. This is a sound check. You can hear Bobby, but
I can hear me.
And
that's going to be really interesting.
You can hear me, but I cannot hear Bob. All right, we'll figure this out. Okay. I think I figured. Wait, let me see. No, why can't I hear Bobby? This is so weird. Oh, I know what to do. I got it. Oh, this is too tricky. Hold on. I'm gonna do. Hang on. I gotta go into graphics. How do I hear Bobby? And why can I not hear Bobby? This is an interesting question. Let me just see something real quick. Settings, audio input, defaults, communication.
Some real cutting edge DFS stuff we got going here.
This is so weird. I want to just test the sound on my computer here because I hear everything else. Let me just double check that I can hear everything else, and then I will. Interesting. Let me see something. No, so I just can't hear him through Restream. Yeah, but Jamie could hear Bobby, so this is so strange.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and rejoin. For those of you who can hear me, I'll be back in a second, and let's see if it works.
This is really screwed up. I'm gonna try him one more time. Okay, so there he is. We're going to do this. We're going to, all right. Let's try this. Now unmute, and now we will let him in. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I don't know, man.
I'm
supposed to be able to hear you. But I simply cannot.
I'll try and drop in words of wisdom.
And I have no answer. What's different? What's changed? Well, the microphone but I should be getting through. Wow, this is like a logic game problem. So let me just see. So wait, hold on. So no, I actually see. Okay, let him do that. All right, let's do that. We'll do that.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to go through what I'm doing really quickly, and then Bobby can kind of throw this in here. So on DraftKings, I'm glad you're here, Bobby, because I really need an SP2. Or SP2 or SP1, because I'm playing Robbie Ray. I've made my peace with that, and I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to play Musgrove. I don't know whether to play Bauer, or Rogers for that matter. I don't think I'm going to pay down for any of those cheapos. So I'm just kind of between the. If you have an opinion between those guys like Bauer, Rogers, or anybody else for that matter, I'm really in the market for a second pitcher. Who do you like?
I don't like anybody. So Bauer probably is. Bauer is probably our best bet. Best bet with Musgrove. Bauer or Musgrove. Yeah, this is a little weird, but we'll get it. We're going to figure this out. I'm not really sure why you guys can hear me and he can't, but we're going to figure it out anyway. And I personally am going with these guys over here. Chief, check out the chat if you can hear me at all. You can hear me at all? Hello.
Input.
And go from here.
Audio input. I'm going to figure this out.
Everybody else can seem to hear me. We've had this happen before when I was even at a normal connection.
Input.
So here we go.
Let's try this.
Fortunately, it's a small. Wait.
No.
Wait. Okay, guys. Well, I'll talk while Sheets is doing that real quick and say what I'm doing. I'm updating my ownerships right now. I've got my umpire data, and I'm going to go from there. I personally think Bauer, Rogers, Musgrove, and Ray are the answer with Rich Hill. And Caprillion is probably my other one, too. I do like Caprillion. I'm glad you guys can hear me. So that's the other one who I like, who's a little bit maybe more off the board. And I think you might want to go a little bit off the board. Now, it won't be totally off the board, but it's a little bit off the board. And I think I like that a little bit better today than just going with the chalk Bauer. I'm playing like just one lineup on each side, and I'm using Bauer as my pitcher on FanDuel. And I think he makes the most sense to play him with Ray on DraftKings. If I was playing a cash game, that's what I'd be doing. But I don't mind taking a shot with the Caprillion idea. And I like, obviously, the fairly chalky A's, but you can get a little different. I do love Laureano, Moreland, Murphy, and I think the bottom of their lineup will be a little less owned. You have Sip, Brown, cheap. So that's the way I would go with the A's, try and get some exposure to the bottom of the order. I also think that your weird stack of the day would be to get really different. It's hard to do because you want to play Ray, but I do think that getting a little bit of the Marlins exposure is a bad idea. We also are going to have a million
really
percent.
weird. This works. There's no way this is going to work, but
Franco,
we'll see what happens.
All right. I don't know what's happening. Seth Brown is the other one. Okay. And then, sorry about this, guys. We will straighten this stuff out. It's just weird when the week I'm on vacation that all this stuff comes up. So, of course, so it's a little tricky. But Rich Hill is actually, I think, a really interesting option. And I don't see him being, very popular. And I think that this is actually decent. He gets the matchup with Boston, at least at home. It's not that exciting, but I'm probably not going to be playing Trevor Rogers, and all the other guys I'm taking shots. And I love Rogers in general, but I actually like the Blue Jays as a contrarian, not stack, but as contrarian one-off. And that's sort of what I'm doing. So with that said, let's get to it.
Let me try this.
Okay, so all right, guys. So I'm just gonna keep talking through. So I like what Sheets mentioned earlier in our video, and I think that one we had to hear each other, so it was a little bit easier to go through. And I like the idea of playing the Tampa Bay without, if you do it without Franco, or even if you play Franco, I don't think the other guys are going to be as crazy owned as anybody thinks. And I don't mind picking on Garrett Richards here. That's sort of what I'm thinking about doing. I also think that the Mets make some sense. Nice hitting weather here in New York, and that's something I would definitely consider doing. But mostly it's going to be the Astros and filtering these guys in as my secondary stacks. Astros, Yankees, Rays, and A's are the main stacks, filtering in parts of both Toronto and Miami. And I really like the trying to play the bottom of the orders of these, because you want to get different. I also don't think fully stacking is necessary today. So 3-3-2. I would be doing a lot of 3-3-2s. I am only doing 2 lineups, but I am doing 3-3-2s mostly, things like that, 3-2-2-2s. It's a small enough slate where you play it that way, I think, and that's fine.
Any chance you could still hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, I can now hear you. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, look at that. Hey, we're business.
Yep.
All right, there we go.
Ooh.
How about that? All right, so let's get to it, man. So what do you tell us what you're doing?
Yeah. So this is what I'm doing. I am for my main for my big lineup on DraftKings. I am doing what I said and stacking Kansas City. That's going to be my main thing, and I'm doing actually a 2-man with the Yankees to make as well. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out the lineup. Just really just from that. That's my main hand built thing. The one thing that I'm doing is that I'm considering not using Franco though. One off. I'm considering pivoting off of that and doing something different. Like between Toro and Franco, like those are both of them are pretty good one-offs, right? And they're both pretty cheap. Yeah, so that's where I am. For me, it's Kansas City. I'm with pitching right now. I'm Robbie Ray and Bauer, Robbie Ray and Musgrove. That's pretty much where I'm at on DraftKings, and it's kind of scary a little bit. Oh, it's scary, whatever. But there's just so few options. That's just kind of where I am. I'm looking through my list here as other teams. I got Houston, again, nothing particularly earth-shattering, right? So I have Houston. I have some Oakland. I have some Boston actually as well. And that's pretty much where I am.
Yeah, I agree with. I'm not as into Boston. I do like the main stacks, obviously, but the thing is, not everybody can play all these guys, and it's hard for someone to play like they can't play Sanchez, Judge, and Stanton that easily with the prices like this, even with the cheap guys. And if they do that, they're not going to be able to play, the other parts that we want. So I'm doing mostly like 3-3-2 things, and I'm actually not worrying about stacking that much. I'm just going for my favorite plays. But I think that the main stack for me would be Oakland, just with how bad Fulte's been. And he's so hittable, and he's not striking anybody out, and you have a team that can feast on him. So that's what I'm trying to do over there. And I want pieces of Houston, but I don't think I need the whole thing. So I'm mostly doing the mixed stacks. I wish Urquidy had a better umpire. I do like Caprillion though. I think Caprillion is the guy who people aren't gonna play that much, and he's been really good, and he's getting a high strikeout Texas team. So I kind of like that. But Laureano is my favorite play on Oakland, along with just barely ahead of Olsen. So that's, if you're, I'm not going to play any Kyle Tucker at high ownership. Coming back from COVID, he's dropped 10 pounds. He's lost a lot of weight, not been handling it too well. So I'm kind of getting away from that part of it. So I'm playing the Alvarez and then I don't think you're going to get the crazy ownership you think that people think on these on the high priced Rays. I don't think they're going to be this incredibly popular stack. So I actually like the Rays quite a bit. If you can leave out Franco, that's great. If not, obviously it's hard to do. But that's where I'm at pretty much. it does feel Houston is the team I'm most afraid of skipping, and Oakland is the team I like the most. Might not get as much ownership with guys like Laureano, just because you can't play all these outfielders. There's a lot of good outfielders out there today. And the Yankees, I'm reserving more for FanDuel and just sort of skipping them on DraftKings, even though I feel nervous about it. I love your idea for Kansas City, though. I think that's a really, really good way to go. I think you'll get some ownership on guys like O'Hearn, but I don't think it's going to be a high-owned stack outside of the really obvious guys. So, mix in the Hunter Dozers, who's not going to be high-owned. Mix in Trey Soler, who can't be high-owned because there's so many good outfielders today. That's sort of what I would do if I was going to be stacking or just using those guys as one-offs. I think is a good way to go.
And the one team again that I haven't mentioned that is just they're going to be low owned and I'll get to a little bit of them on FanDuel. I don't know if I'm going to get to them on DraftKings, but they're going to be low owned. So maybe is maybe Baltimore. That would be like just the one team that I just hadn't really mentioned over the course of the day that kind of fits within there. I mean, for me, it's Kansas City, Houston, Tampa, just like you said, and then Oakland and the Yankees. But I would be remiss if I didn't just at least point out that I had a mild interest in. And again, you don't want. I mean, or Curdy's good enough that you don't want to just stack the world against him, right?
Right.
But I know Santander and maybe a couple of guys like Galvis or something like that. They'll get into my lineups.
Yep. Yeah, the extreme hitters umpire in that Baltimore game. So I'm a little bit. I was going to play Urquidy earlier, but I think I've switched it over, and I actually prefer Caprillion now. Caprillion, by the way, with the second highest for the K prop on the slate, and that's good enough for me. So I'm happy to go that route. I am not playing Trevor Rogers today. Obviously I think he's great, but I just think this lineup is a little bit tough for him. So I'm gonna steer clear of him as the only chalk pitcher that I really wouldn't want to play much of. But even guys like Duffy make, Duffy, I don't know why Duffy's K prop is as high as it is, to be honest with you, because I don't know how much he's going to pitch after not pitching. But at 6.5 as a K prop, it's pretty good for a guy who's no one's thinking about because, not one thinking about, there's not that many to think about, but all those guys, I just think I'm going to try and get a little different at pitching and save Bauer for my FanDuel lineups.
So let's talk about that. So you like, it's funny because when we talk about FanDuel for a sec, I still like, it's funny, I still like Robbie Ray the most, but I mean, he's just barely makes to 6 innings even when he pitches well.
Yeah, it's the strikeouts. I'm using him in my main lineup on DraftKings, but he will only be in one of my lineups. My secondary lineup will not have him in it. It will be
Bauer.
I like Bauer better I'm just using him more on FanDuel.
Okay.
But logically, Bauer, Musgrove, Duffy be the next guys I would look at. And I know it's weird to play Duffy against a team with that high a total, but I do think he's kind of interesting on this weird slate. You could get weird to play the Garrett Richards, but I'm just siding more with the offense of Tampa Bay. That's the only reason why.
I would rather do what I suggested earlier and play Rich Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead. I'm totally good with that.
I'm not going to. I mean, I don't need it, but rather than play. I shouldn't say that. I mean, Richards, he could do enough at 6,300, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, but it just seems as though you want to pay down. I'm learning this is like my big cross to bear every year with FanDuel pitching is. It seems as though that if you're going to want to pay down for pitching, there's got to be a really, really good reason. There's got to be a really, really good hitting opportunity. Like Coors or not even so much Coors because Coors is always like high owned, but I mean guys like let's say like the Blue Jays are like overpriced or something like that, right? And the only way you can get them is you pay down for pitching, like maybe do something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I can get behind that. I do like the Caprillion thing. I think I'm going to use him in my main lineup on DK.
Okay.
That's this Texas lineup. I've just seen this story too many times, and I actually think Caprillion will be more owned than currently projected at. Guys, drop in any questions too, and after. Who knows how long this works? It feels very strange to be in the park with people looking at me, but hey, who cares? You live one time.
You know what? The connection seems to work. So, I mean.
Yeah, I'm going pretty well.
What are your plans for tonight?
For what's that? For what's that?
For tonight, what are you guys doing? Anything?
You know, we're I don't know. They're my mom for once is actually making dinner. So I gotta actually see what that's all about.
Nice.
Thing going on over here. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but there's this like 1,000 people gathered and watching something on the screen, and I don't know what that's all about. So,
Nice.
I don't know. No major plans yet, but just sort of feeling it out.
So we're psyched. Just let us know where to be tomorrow, and we'll be there.
Absolutely, sounds good. Yeah, I'll send you the location. Okay, yeah. So it's just, I do think the Blues. Look, Roger's good, but the bullpen behind him is terrible, and I believe in this offense enough to where at low ownership they make some sense if you can squeeze some of these guys in. But like I said, I'm going with the 3-3-2s, and my favorites are Houston, Oakland, and Tampa Bay.
You guys, so this is a good example of baseball variance, right? So you, I don't know if you knew this, Bobby, but the Nationals played the Phillies today. Washington won the game 13-12, and Juan Soto had 4 fantasy points.
There you go. That's what happens.
Right?
Yeah, there's your, hey, maybe you could fade the Franco thing. That makes a lot of sense to me. I definitely am going to do it on at least, half of my lineups, but I do find myself wanting to play him a little bit, so trying to get a little bit different elsewhere, but mostly it's because I like the Tampa Bay stack, and obviously he makes a lot work. So going that route. And Houston with Maldonado, if I play him, I can't do anything there. Yeah, it's tricky. I just don't think you need to worry about stacking. So my favorite one-off plays are Olsen, Laureano. I'm pairing them together. I like Altuve, Toro. That's going to be the popular one. I don't think Laureano is going to be especially high owned. I don't think Arozarena is going to be especially high owned, and I don't think I don't think Meadows is going to be particularly high owned. So I sort of like going that route a little bit. If you're going to play the Franco chalk, that's basically what I'm doing.
You think?
I'll take a look.
You think Bogdanovich is going to play tonight?
I actually didn't look. I'm not playing basketball tonight, so I was going to look at that after this. But I would guess that he does, but I'm not 100%. I really don't have any inside information or anything on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a legit game time decision.
Yeah. Alvarez, and yeah, I think it is. So the Houston side of it, I do feel like it's hard to fade all of these guys, but I think that you're better off trying to play, maybe just if you're going to do it, just you have to know you have to get different elsewhere. Just remember that, obviously. And I do think the Mets game in Atlanta, while we wanted to overlook it, maybe that's the game where you can get some owners, get some differences as well. So we have, Adam asking about fading, or no, Project Mayhem asking about fading Robbie Ray at 50 to 60%. Absolutely, I'm gonna fade him on FanDuel. I'm on DraftKings. I'm using him in my main line on it with Korean, but I don't mind at all if you want to fade him. He's obviously versatile. It's a good matchup and everything. He's probably going to get there, but we have some other guys who could easily outscore him, and I think Bauer, Musgrove are just significantly better pitchers than he is, but obviously the matchup is tougher. Just you have to decide where you're going to try and get different tonight. I stuck Contreras 7th even didn't move him up in the order. I do like Contreras as a one-off at catcher, by the way.
Okay.
He's my favorite play on Atlanta, all things considered. So that's what I'm doing over here.
Yeah, I actually was going to, in my main lineup, it was really weird. I was getting to, I still have it. So in my main lineup, I have like Austin Riley is like a weird one-off there.
Interesting. I like it. I like anything that's going to be a little bit off the board today, and anything. I don't think people are fine.
Let me ask you a question because I have a couple lines. Do you like anything better around 4K at third base?
No, actually, probably not.
McKinstry. I mean, could play. Is McKinstry?
No, I would prefer him above everybody else at third base at that price range.
Yeah.
Maybe Joey Wendell at 43 if you had that much, but
no, I have
4.
Yeah,
I don't think that's like a must or anything like that. And I would like to get more Oakland than I currently have. I think that but you know, Chapman is a little bit more expensive than I want. But I do like these high strikeout Oakland against a low strikeout guy, and they all have power, obviously. So anyway, by the way, Cody Bellinger is activated from the DL just as of right now, so he's going to probably be in the lineup. So it makes it a little bit tougher on Musgrove. And obviously Muncy just joined back, so I do think it's a little bit worse of a situation to play Musgrove, although we don't have a ton of options tonight.
$3,500 outfielder. Ooh, you know who I could do? I could do Conforto.
Yeah,
I could do that.
I like that.
I could do that's pretty much it, actually. Or I could do Renfroe. I could do that.
Yeah, I'm good with both of those.
Kemp is 3,300.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have no. And Kemp, we have the outfield and second base.
Who do you like more, Kemp, Renfroe, or Conforto? I'll leave it up to you guys.
Kemp, Renfroe, or Conforto?
Just a one-off, random one-off.
Kemp. I'm sorry. Conforto.
Okay.
That would be my pick, but I am using Kemp as a part of a mini Oakland stack.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I have like a bunch of Kemp already. Bless you.
Right.
Yeah, Conforto's going to be. Bless you.
And if you're not playing Robbie Ray, I really do think you should be trying to get some of these Miami bats into your lineups because we know he can give up power and speed. So I think that's what you should be doing if you're not playing Robbie Ray.
Okay, so
pretty straightforward, pretty small slate, pretty simple, pretty easy for an if you want to get different, even though you just have to make some sacrifices. So be it. It's not that it's one slate. You know, I don't think anybody should be trying to bust their whole put everything they have on this slate. But every time I say that, I end up seemingly do better. So maybe I should be. Yeah, I have a pretty tight core here on DK. How about on FanDuel? What are you doing? Anything different over there?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I have 50% Ray over there. I don't think I got any Bauer. Yeah, I did. I only like 10% of them though. I actually did play 10%. I did have a couple of lineups with Rich Hill. I actually do. Oh my God, this is nuts. I've in the $5. I have a lineup with Rich Hill that leaves $1,500 on the table. Thank you. Bauer, I have some. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of Houston chalk over there.
Yeah.
Oakland.
The Yankees are obviously easier to get to over there, so I do like that.
Yeah, I guess that's how I'm different. I don't have a shred of the Yankees on FanDuel.
There you go. That's good. I mean, that's good. I do like the Yankees, but I totally understand fading them. And Oakland will be my secondary stack. Houston and Oakland are my two favorites today.
Okay.
And I am mixing in some Moreland, even though I did caution, hey, he might get just 2 at bats today. That's always a risk. But if they're scoring 10 runs and he's got a home run already, I don't think you're not worried about it for one thing because you already got paid off. But also, I don't think they're going to be pulling him out of the game in that situation as likely if they're up 10-0. And I think that's really possible against Fulte with what we've seen lately. All right, I actually didn't get my updated FanDuel stuff. I am playing. Laureano is like my favorite play on the slate today. I guess I've said that a few times already, but I think he's my favorite.
Okay. Just
in case I didn't mention it enough. And I do like on FanDuel you can double pair. Well, I like Void obviously. It's probably, I think double and Moreland to get different if you're going to play that Oakland stack. So that's what I'm doing over there. And I'm probably going to skip Wander on FanDuel.
Yeah. What's his price over there?
2,500.
Okay.
And there we go. Yeah, it's let's see, Joey Wendell. It's a one-off that works fine. 3-3. I'm just trying not to go for the full stacks here as much tonight, just because I do want to try and get different every way you can. It's going to be really hard to get too different, but at the same time, some of these tournaments aren't quite as big. Like you have the 555, with only a couple hundred players in it. It's not the same size one. So in longer field tournaments, I just suggest you get as different as you can. I don't think I need to get quite out because the way I'm building my lineups.
Right.
And real quick, I'm just going to look at Oakland. I actually didn't even look at Oakland's most. Who did I miss that was? Oh, Seth Brown. Yeah, at the bottom of the order. Yeah, they've got a lot of pinch hit risk in Oakland. I would just say that. Be careful with that. The first four are fine, but then you get to Moreland and Brown and Bolt, and those guys are all dangerous in terms of pinch hit risk. So that's where I'm at on these ones. Bauer, Stanton, Judge, Chapman, Moreland, Kemp, and Laureano. Guys, I'll answer any questions in there. I might have to go in just a minute. Oh, and really like, by the way, Lindor on FanDuel. The Mets should be owned. I think Lindor will get some ownership, but I think Lindor is a really good, at a really good price. And even if the numbers don't always bear it out, he's actually swung the bat better with the exception of the last few games. We had the monster game from him last week against Washington. It's not like he's totally lost it. You know what I mean? And I like playing guys when everyone's sort of done with them. And we're both here in New York, and it's pretty good weather out here. Pretty nice. It's sunny. We got the wind blowing out a little bit apparently at the stadium. So I'm kind of into that. But yeah, pretty straight slate. And I'll spend probably the rest of the time just talking to you and answering questions. Laureano is the one guy I seem to have in like all my lineups, but maybe one on both sites, and hoping that he remains a little less owned on DraftKings. I'm going to take him out of one lineup on DraftKings, actually.
Oh, perfect.
And maybe even play Bellinger instead. Yeah, not a bad idea. Houston, okay. Starting to see if this makes sense. Yes, it makes perfect sense to me. If we go with...
Yeah, well, Jay Franco is a play. He's
the obvious, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be very healthily owned. But if you have like a decent, non-chalky stack, and the way to make it work is you need a 2K guy. I mean, that's what he's there for,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Outfield, Meadows. George Springer's on 3,700. Huh.
He's on Toronto now, right?
Yep. So now I've changed it to a 3-3-1-1 I've got on DraftKings in my main one. I really like Soler. And I just don't think he's going to get ownership. There's so many good outfielders that none of these guys can be quite like heavily owned. So if they're projected to have low ownership, I think you can pretty much expect that. And if they're going to be owned, they're mostly going to be parts of stacks. So I like them as one-offs. Guys like Soler, Meadows, Arozarena, because people will want the Yankees, they'll want the Astros. They might even want the Oakland Laureano, although I don't think they're going to go crazy with that. And trying to keep my Houston exposure to 3-man stacks instead of 4, just because I think that instead of 4 or 5, I mean, that's what everybody else will do, is just play the full 5-man. Franco is the main play. Yeah, we already got that one. What Adam said is perfectly right about Kemp, by the way. Much better in stacks than he is as a one-off. I would take Conforto in the one-off spot. I really like that. Would I stack versus Ray? I would probably get a mini stack in versus him. But their full stack is okay. It's totally fine. In a large field GPP, I'd probably save it just for those. On a smaller one, I would go for the Duvall. Alfaro is a great play at catcher. He's in my other half of my lineups that aren't Contreras and Maldonado, basically. So I actually have the most ownership of Alfaro of any player on DK at catcher. And they're all non-Ray lineups. Ray's in half my lineups, Alfaro's in the other half. That's sort of the way I'm doing it. And I am using Rich Hill and Trevor Bauer in my secondary lineup as of right now. And just double checking Rich Hill's umpire information just to make sure I'm not totally losing my mind here. Robbie Ray with the great pitchers umpire is always enticing on any slate, and it's a tough fade, but it's a fade you can definitely make. He's only got a K prop he's got a 7.5. Bauer's got a 7.5 K prop. Rogers, Musgrove, Duffy, Caprillion all have 6.5. So you can mix those other guys in as you please. And I don't think anyone's going to play Robbie Ray. I like him less than Caprillion, but I do think that the ownership should be lower on him just based on that he hasn't pitched. But I'm just double checking that to make sure it's right. Yeah, I don't think anybody's playing Duffy, so I don't mind to do that. And I'm pretty set with my lineups here. So if there's nothing else for questions, we can talk a little basketball if you want to.
Yeah, I have to find some hockey info out. Jan Ruta.
I really don't think you're going to get as much ownership on those expensive Rays in the outfield.
Okay.
And if you do, they're all gonna have Wander in the lineups. If you do, is my guess. So if you wanted to stack the Rays without Wander, I think that's a really, really interesting way to go. I'm not doing much of it myself. I'm not playing a ton of lineups, but that would be something I would definitely be doing. If I was playing a little more. Boy, that game last night. Did you watch the rest of that game last night, Sheets, after I left?
I did.
Oh, pretty brutal, apparently. I didn't get to watch all of it, but, I mean, it went on forever, right? The last couple minutes felt like it was like 40 minutes long.
Yeah, well, because what happened is every play
was reviewed.
ended in a review, and then I'll tell you, it was a they at 0.7 seconds the Suns ran a pretty nice play. The Clippers were afraid of Booker coming out off the screen, right? Because it's only 0.7, and Booker just stopped cold and screened Ayton's man, which was Zubac, and so they lobbed it right at the rim, and it wasn't like Zubac got toasted. Zubac really fought through the screen decently and was like 1 centimeter away from making it back to get to block it, but. The pass, it was really amazing. The pass just over the outside.
It was a great pass,
yeah.
But it was a terrible, terrible coverage, in my opinion. I watched the replay of that. Like, I don't know what the hell Cousins was doing. How can you not be between the man and the basket with 0.8 left? He was guarding the rest of the court. It was terrible to just have him in that. Like, if you're going to use his big body, you better be between him and the basket. You can't let the guy make that easy of an inbound pass, in my opinion. That I thought was a little bit unforgivable.
Well, and then interestingly, what would happen was that because of the replay, they weren't allowed to sub anybody. They had to keep the same 10 guys that were on the court, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, that was it's actually amazing that sometimes those baseline out of bounds plays work in the pros. That's like something that we do in AAU that like works like every time. But like in the
right.
Yeah, I just feel as though they should just know what's happening,
I agree with you. I was very surprised.
I mean, it's either going to be coming off the screen or a lob. I mean, it's one of those two. I mean, like it's not like there's any other option.
Right. No, I hear you. Boy, and we've got 2,600. I forgot to mention one guy I like or two guys that I like a little bit Eli White if you're not playing Caprillion, and I do like DJ Stewart a little bit, even though he's at the bottom of the order against Urquidy, as a one-off even at 2,700. Oh, and Sanchez too. We forgot about Sanchez, another prospect that's up there. If you're not playing Robbie Ray, that you should be considering some Sanchez on the other side. All right. But yeah, I didn't really get a great feel for tonight. The first games I always like to let play out, but the showdown played anyway, so we could take some guesses. I just don't really have a great feel how this series is going to go. I think you're going to see an absolute massacre in general I think it'll be 4-1 is my guess for Milwaukee if I had to bet. But this could be the one that Atlanta steals. I just don't see. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's a sweep, but I do think they probably get one.
I ended up actually making like 50% in the showdown last night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I'm doing I think I'm kind of similar. Hold on a minute. I think where's this? Where are my lineups here? Sports. Hold on a minute. NBA showdown. So why is hockey picked? Crap. Hold on a minute.
Jay, while you're doing that, Jay, I would love to answer your question. Does Holiday have a better serious
Oh, yeah.
series against Atlanta. Oh yeah, he'll have a better series. And also, one thing about Holiday, he's still a tremendous defender. I mean, Harden wasn't himself, but Drew Holiday is as good a perimeter defender as there is in the league, and actually probably can create as much trouble. And as a team, they'll defend Trae Young much better because they won't be able to roast Embiid in that pick and roll. They'll try to do it with Lopez. My guess is you'll see at times Milwaukee go small. If you want an off-the-board play for showdown tonight, it might be Bobby Portis. This might be more of a Bobby Portis series than the last one was.
So
I actually kind of like that idea.
So I got 100 I have 100 of one guy and then almost 100 of another guy and then almost 75 of another guy. So I'm gonna have 100 of Giannis. I'm gonna have 100. I'm gonna have pretty much 100 of Connaughton. I mean he's 200, and and the other one I have the 75% of, and this is gonna be pretty chalky too, is a Kongwu. He's only 1K. So those are gonna be my three.
So I think this is a much worse series. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see. I think the Kongwu, they'll probably bring him in, but there's no reason for them to play him at all. Like I think he's going to end up being a DNP CD at least a couple times in this series. Yeah, they were matching him up with the bigs because Philly insisted on playing Dwight Howard and or Embiid at all times, and you're not going to see that with Milwaukee at all. Milwaukee can do whatever they want in this series. I really would have a hard time seeing Milwaukee lose the series. I honestly can't fathom it.
Yeah, that could be. And then so the other way you could go is you could play Gallinari, right?
Yeah, I'm really into the Bobby Portis idea, to be honest with you. I'm really getting into this. I really think he's a strong play, and this is the kind of series they play big. They play too big. They can use him in this series. They didn't have any room on the court for him against Brooklyn with the way Brooklyn plays small. So I think this is a series you'll see more of him.
Right.
I sort of like speculating on that early. And also I think he should get the blowout run in this series if there is a blowout, and this could be a blowout game. Obviously every game could be a blowout game. I'm not as interested in Tucker in this series as I was in the last series because the minutes aren't as much of a lock. I do agree that Connaughton's a good play, but I think Bobby Portis is as well. So that's where I'm at with those guys.
Wow. You see who died?
Yeah, John. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's funny because with my girlfriend, I just watched the special on him because I've seen that a couple times. And he actually, he's a absolutely awful human being and did some really terrible things. He also did some good things. Really, really, really pretty sketchy stuff. It's called American Gringo, or maybe it's just called Gringo. I don't know. It's on Hulu, but check it out. It's a really good documentary. It's just a really disturbing guy who probably killed a number of people that people never got caught for exactly. But he actually retweeted me and responded to a couple of my tweets during this past crazy election cycle. So as much as I hate him, I thought that was kind of funny to me. I like Capella a lot better in this series too. I just want to mention, sorry, throwing out totally all different things, but I do like Capella a little bit better. It would feel weird if they don't play Bogdanovic at all. I just don't think I'm going to end up using him. I think I would rather just take Gallinari, who's always going to get minutes no matter what. So Giannis, Portis, Connaughton.
I'll tell you, we talk about this quite a bit, like the difference between playing DFS contests when you really are into the sport versus when you're just playing numbers and stuff. And Kenny and I we were on the other company call just now, and he was making a point about when we do stuff, like we come at it from totally different angles and stuff like that, but both takes are really, really good, and where I think that you could really have real good value added for everybody here is what you were saying about stuff like a Kongwu. So here's a unique situation right now where it's a totally different series, right? So the way a team is going to use their guys may or may not, but could completely change, and projection models are going to not factor that in at all. Because they can't. You know what I mean? If you have a basketball take, like this is a perfect opportunity as they switch series to take advantage of that. So for example, a Congo, or let's just say that Connaughton, whatever, the Connaughton's going to show up at a zillion % owned, like the best play on the slate, right? But if you, for whatever, I'm using Connaughton as an example, if you just had a basketball take that Connaughton's particularly poor in a certain situation that the other team wouldn't go, I mean, that's serious edge that not only you get over just average players, but over like the 150 max, spreadsheet guys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually pretty interesting what you said about Atlanta with respect to Milwaukee in the series.
But yeah, my fear is because they won that they'll stick with him at least in the first half, and maybe in a blowout he'll get run in the second half, and maybe he'll get run anyway. But they'll probably stick with him game one. But I do expect him to fade out of the series a little bit as it goes on. They just don't need that kind of size like they did against Philadelphia. Even though what's weird is that I actually like Okongwu as a player, and I think he's going to be a good player in the future. But I don't think that there's any reason why they need to play that many bigs against a team that's probably going to end up trying to go a little bit smaller, with the exception of Lopez. And even Giannis, who's a 4, is really a I don't know, you can call it, he's a 1 through 4, like, you know what I mean? So they just don't need that size to try and match up. And Okongwu, I don't think, has the lateral quickness to keep up with a guy like that. I think you're more likely going to see some John Collins. I think they might even get creative and try and play some smaller guys on him and actually have like even Herder not Herder, but like you'll use Herder as the double man on him. And they can even put Capella on him. So that's what I think is going to sort of happen there. And Collins will probably start off. I'll probably mix up Collins and Capella on Giannis, and then the other one will guard Lopez. But you'll see the double coming from the other side, probably with guys like Herder. I just don't see how Okongwu fits into the long-term plan in this series, personally. But so it might happen. The first game he might play really well, and that could be totally done. Sorry, Chief, go ahead.
No, so Jay is asking does Holiday have a better series against Atlanta? I mean, I would imagine. I mean, like I think that someone like him could probably do okay. I mean, he might get a couple more steals in the series.
Right.
The ball. Trey can throw the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
And he can get pickpocketed and so yeah, I think so. And Atlanta's defense is can be fishy against guards. You know what I mean? So
mm-hmm.
I think he does have a better series, actually.
Yeah, I agree. And Adam said thanks for the take. I just want to make it clear, Adam. No problem. But I just want to say about the Okongwu thing. I'm not saying it's the right thing to fade him tonight. I'm just saying that throughout this series, that's the way we should be thinking. If this was a 2-game slate and it was a normal like 3K guy, or let's say they lowered it to 2K, which they've done before in the past, I wouldn't be playing him in that situation. I'd play Portis, all things considered equal, just because the upside for a guy like Portis is legitimately 45 fantasy points, and the downside is obviously 0. But I just would rather take that shot on a guy who's also going to be lower owned. So yeah. My computer is going to die, I think, fairly shortly. So if there's any other questions or anything, pop them on in there, and I'll try to help. I'll try along with Sheets to answer them.
If this game does blow out, there are a couple of other 1K dudes in there. So like Solomon Hill's 1K. Remember, this is showdown. I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the first game too, so you're going to see them feeling each other out, trying some different things. So there's definitely some value in spreading out and playing some of the guys who no one else is projecting to do anything. I just don't like Hill as much because I think the other minimum cost guys have so much more upside than he does, and he's going to have a tiny bit of ownership anyway.
So this is like kind of annoying. So there's a lineup I have where I have Okongwu, and I could swap him for Portis, but the problem is if I do that, I literally max out my salary, and I just can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't play a lineup like that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in the large field stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting question from Jay about the Teague playing. I don't know what's going to happen in that situation. Obviously, I do think there's a better chance for a player, especially because he has a history of. I mean, he actually had played. What did he play there? He played there the first year Trey was there, right? He was still there or traded. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's probably worth looking into if you're really playing some heavy volume tonight. But again, don't get crazy with these. Let's play the showdown slates. Let's have some fun with them, but know that we're going to take some shots, and it's going to be really, really hard to get different enough. But this is a game where you probably could the first game. We're speculating on some of this stuff, and like Adam said, we're thinking differently on these kind of things. Tony wants to know the favorite Dodgers for tonight. I think Bellinger actually at his price is probably my favorite. But I think the Dodgers are like, look, everybody's, we could say everybody's interested. We talked about a lot of stacks that we like, but that's a team that can always go off, and they still even, Musgrove was good, but this Dodger lineup is back to being at full strength. So the two best lineups on the slate, the Dodgers and Blue Jays, are going to be pretty much unowned. So that's just on its face is enough of a reason to potentially stack them, or at least play some one-offs from them, because they are the best actual teams in terms of their raw power, their raw fantasy ability.
Royals at Yankees. Umpire Bill Miller is second base.
So he got moved, huh? We got that again.
Yeah. Home is Gabe Morales.
Yeah. So
Blue Jays Marlins.
why do they keep doing that with Bill Miller? It's like they're doing it for DFS. It almost feels like.
Hey, do you subscribe to this Twitter feed, Ump Crew?
Yeah, I just am not on it. I didn't look at it right now.
Yeah, I just noticed. I just joined it, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But it is what I have elsewhere too.
Okay.
And this is the same spot. You know, the funny thing about Eshelman, and while I mentioned I really do like Houston, I do have no Houston players in some of my FanDuel lineups, which of course makes me nervous. But I just point out, I mean, they have a terrible bullpen in Baltimore. But Eshelman, we had this spot on a 15-game slate where every Blue Jay was 30+% owned, and he gave up 1 home run to Teoscar. He pitched 4 2/3 only, but literally gave up like nothing else. He actually had a no-hitter going into the 5th inning in that game. And if something like that happens again tonight, you're just lapping the field if you do fade Houston, because there are offenses that are going to put up a lot of runs tonight. It's weird. There's 4 offenses I prefer over any offense we had yesterday, and it's a much smaller slate. All right, guys. If there's nothing else, I might have to get out of here in just a minute. And Sheets, we'll see you out here tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good. And for those of you who didn't notice, I put a very, very short, but I thought pretty succinct last look at the PGA up on the site. So you guys can.
Any straight bets for you, Sheets?
No, dude, freaking my genius son maxed out my freaking nitrogen with that freaking baseball, that freaking parlay. I got the money to bet. Ridiculous.
Oh man, that was close.
Yes.
But
no, I didn't have any leans as far as that goes. Abe answers the top play, but he's chalky. Well, I'll refer you guys to the video for that. All right, anything else?
I think we're good here. Good luck to everybody tonight.
And Bobby, make sure you text me where I got to be tomorrow.
All right, sounds good, man. We'll do it.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right.